go. Thank you very much. It's really a privilege to have you all here. It's obvious that More Than HR is extremely popular. And, you know, as a business person, and I've spent a lot of time doing various things, and for all of that, I think all the breaks that I got in my career, I owe it to HR people like you. People who took risk of giving somebody. When I was 35, I got a chance to run Morgan Stanley and JM Financial. They were doing a JV in 2000 to run a venture. And when I think back, I think it was a humongous risk somebody in HR took, right? Because I was working with Citi, I got that opportunity. And I think that is the transformative opportunity as a business person that I realized that HR could do. So starting with that, which was like a, you know, a new venture, but supported by large companies. Then moving on next to going back to my alma mater, Citi, running a big business in the Middle East, in Turkey, Middle East and Africa, running wealth management. And then eventually Anju and I were colleagues when I came back to India and set up something for Fullerton, which is Temasek's Temasek's financial services company. And you know, I think the one thing that struck us the most, and Anju and a few other people from HR, and we used to struggle in trying to hire 100 people a month. That was our goal at that point, to go and open accounts. And you know, I used to keep reading that there is a great deal of skill deficit in the country, which is true. But we pretty much just wanted people who had a basic level of enthusiasm to go and open accounts, right, Anju? And we struggled with that. So, you know, and that is why I think that's when I realized that HR is truly more than HR. And I think in that sense, this roundtable is a fantastic effort. Just to give you a little bit of what we wanted to do and what we've realized in MeraJob, we wanted to set up a credit bureau of job seekers. Coming from financial services, where we understood this concept of having information, behavioral information on people, you know, and I'll share a little bit of that in the next couple of minutes. Today we focus on the underserved job seeker. And what we realize is that, you know, people who tend to say they want to go for an interview and don't show up for an interview,
press B,
tend to repeat that behavior.
Press the letter B for now.
Right? So, getting that behavioral information, or, you know, creating this credit bureau of job seekers is what we wanted to do. However, I think, you know, we've realized that this is a very complex journey, right? So, the founding group, which, so my venture partner, Raman Tyagarajan, who used to be a senior partner with McKinsey in Dubai, another McKinsey partner, we said, you know, we guys know data analytics, we know marketing, and can we as non-HR people try and, you know, influence outcomes? And I must say that the journey has been far more complex than we imagined, right? That's where a lot of people don't realize and I must say I didn't realize when I was a business person about the complexity of what is being done in HR. I don't know how many of you have heard of somebody called Mona Morshed. She is a lady who runs McKinsey's education practice out of Washington, DC. And, you know, Raman and I had the opportunity to sort of hear her once. And she runs a program for McKinsey called the Generation Program. And what we heard was really stunning, right? She said there are 75 million youth in the world who are unemployed, right? And 200 million who are underemployed, right? And McKinsey therefore set up this sort of a not-for-profit effort to try and connect or solve this problem. And this problem, to give you an example, what they talked about was in Mexico. They tied up with Gallup to do strength finding. They tied up with Walmart to find cashiers for Walmart in Mexico. and what they said was that for the cashier job, any guesses how many people apply for a cashier job in Mexico for one person to be selected? I mean, it's pretty similar to India.
1,000.
More than that.
Well, interviewed, okay, let me change that. How many people get interviewed for one to be selected? So 10 out of 10, they used to select one. And McKinsey in their generation program started doing something around, training people on technical skills like scanners, computers, but much more on behavioral skills. 3 things, which is, personal responsibility, growth orientation, and future orientation. And eventually, while typically Walmart would hire cashiers who are graduates, these people that they were training they were people who'd never gone to college. But they achieved almost 6 out of 10 people getting hired. But it took an organization like McKinsey, it took an organization like Gallup, and I'm sure a lot of people in skill development to solve that problem. Now when we sort of project and just look at this number, and this is what fascinates us, by 2060 it is projected that there will be 275 million more people working as compared to today. Okay. Now, out of the 275 million, 300 million people would be provided by 2 countries, right? Which means everything else is going to degrow. So what are those 2 countries? One is India. Any guesses which is the other country?
China.
No, not that.
That's why now they have scrapped the one-child policy. So it's not China. Close, but
USA.
Africa.
Nigeria.
It's Africa.
Nigeria.
Nigeria. So India and China will account for 300 million of the 275 million new workers, which means every other country.
300 of 275.
Yes, which means every other country in the world on a net basis would account for degrowth of workers, right? So it is fascinating, right? And it's not a problem that is, as we imagined, easily solved just using data analytics. I think we've progressed somewhat, but we still find that there are huge challenges in this area, and I think that is where a lot of you, and Luna and I were talking about what some of you are doing, are it all needs a collective effort to come and solve this, right? One more thing that this lady from Generation and McKinsey said, that in Mexico, these people who are applying for cashiers' jobs, what is the occupation that they are competing against to train them for cashiers' jobs? Any guesses? The occupation that they would go into, would they not get a cashier's job?
Drug peddling?
Absolutely. High crime. Right? So that's the other thing that I think we all need to realize, and I think the government realizes this, that we owe this to our next generation. In India, if you're going to have, we see Punjab, that's the issue. How do we as HR people, and I now would like to call myself as an HR person, how do we solve that issue? So we are not a job portal. We are a job portal because ultimately we are here to make social impact. But that's not the only thing we are here for, right? You can't make social impact unless as a company you're also able to make money, return on investment. In skill development, because now we work with NSDC, we work with NCS, and we interact with these people. Why are the skill development courses in India, which NSDC partners are, and I think this is more a question, I don't know the answer completely. Why are the NSDC courses not so popular? Why do these companies struggle to get candidates to come and do those courses?
So they're not employable initially.
There is no delta in employability, right?
Yes.
And what is the single factor, at least we see this every day, the single factor that increases employability the most in, say, salary segment of 10,000 to 15,000?
Accountability, personal responsibility.
Behaviorally, yes, but I think the one thing that is always clear to us is some English or communication proficiency. So, you know, when I know there's somebody from Amazon here, but when Amazon hires delivery boys, if you get somebody who's slightly more proficient in English, you are willing to pay much more, right? And that is what a better life and better opportunity is about. So this is sort of the complex problem that we're grappling with, and we meaning all of us. And you know, how do we work with skill development companies? By the way, you know, we find people who come and apply for jobs, and because we are a data company, we realize that the person has applied for, say, a telecom sales job, and the person's not selected. We have that information. What does it mean? There are telecom sales courses that NSDC runs. So we are also able to sort of, you know, direct them, and we are focusing a lot more now on the skill development. You know, we worked with a couple of banks, HDFC Bank, trying to get them CASA sales executives, people who sell current accounts, savings accounts, and Anju, it's pretty much like the Fullerton days. And we realize a lot of people just show up at the interview wearing chappals without even reading what they had to, you know, what the job is about. So we started sending out interview tickets which get triggered by our system with a link. By the way, they're all on internet.
Smartphones, yeah.
Right? Our biggest source of job seekers in this segment is Facebook.